Welcome to my channel, The World of Science Fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. He knew he was supposed to be dead long before the alien woman spoke, because men like him did not survive retreats, did not survive broken legs, did not survive being left behind in the rain, and yet there he was, chained to the cold floor of an alien holding chamber, while blood mixed with water beneath him, staring at a being he did not understand. And when her voice finally broke the noise of soldiers and machines, calm and sharp and impossibly close, saying, "Stop staring? If you want to, touch her," the world shifted in a way that could never be undone. His name was Cale Vorn, though it meant nothing anymore, because the last person to speak, it had shouted retreat and never looked back. And Cale had learned in that moment what he was worth to humanity, which was nothing more than time bought with his pain. He had been a scout, sent first and remembered last, trained to observe, not to matter, and when the alien ambush tore through the flooded moon of Ashara, his squad escaped while his legs shattered under collapsing metal, and he lay screaming in rising water until silence came. Not the silence of death, but the deeper one of abandonment. The aliens found him days later, half mad with fever, and dragged him into the sky like discarded cargo, tagging him as dangerous, not because of what he had done, but because he was human. And humans carried stories the galaxy did not want remembered. Weeks passed in captivity, filled with pain that became routine and fear that dulled into something quiet and heavy. And Cale learned that survival without purpose was its own kind of torture, because no one spoke to him unless it was to test him, move him, or remind him he was less than nothing. The alien woman watched from a distance during every examination, every punishment, never interfering, never turning away, her skin always shimmering as if wet even in dry rooms, her eyes ancient and tired. And Cale stared, because she was the only thing that felt real, because she did not look at him like a threat or a tool, but like a question she was afraid to ask. Her name was Cerise, a bond-bearer of the Falrine Dominion, though Cale did not know that then, only that she carried authority soldiers, obeyed without question and fear they pretended not to feel. The Falrine ruled half the known stars, not through open cruelty, but through rigid order, laws carved from old disasters, one of which forbade close contact with humans, a law born from an ancient truth they buried deep, the truth that their kind reacted to human emotion in ways that awakened dormant power, power tied not to weapons or machines, but to connection itself. Cerise had been marked as a bond-bearer at birth, isolated, trained, and controlled, taught that touch led to destruction and empathy led to loss. And yet when Cale looked at her, broken and silent and refusing to beg, something inside her strained against centuries of fear. When soldiers noticed his stare and raised their weapons, protocols snapping into place, Cerise felt the bond stir violently, felt the lie cracking, and in a moment of terrifying clarity, she realized that if she did nothing, the universe would remain exactly as cruel as it had always been. She gave him permission not as desire, but as defiance. And when Cale's trembling hand touched her arm, the bond ignited fully, tearing through pain, memory, and time, flooding Cale's mind with visions of alien worlds burned not by war, but by fear, of humans hunted not because they were violent, but because they made others feel too deeply, too honestly. He screamed as his body convulsed, wounds reopening, bones grinding, while soldiers attacked, cutting him, trying to rip them apart. And Cale wrapped himself around Cerise without thinking, shielding her with a body already written off by history, because for the first time, someone had seen him, and that was worth dying for. As his heart slowed and darkness crept in, the bond answered not with destruction, but with truth, healing flesh, knitting bone, awakening a human resilience that had always existed but had been suppressed, because humans survive not by dominance, but by connection, by carrying pain and still reaching out. The rulers of the Dominion arrived in fury, declaring Cerise a traitor and Kale an abomination, ordering her execution to sever the bond and restore control. And when they struck her down, something irreversible happened. Not an explosion, not a war, but a spreading awareness that the curse was never power, but fear of being changed by another. Kale rose from the floor as systems failed and soldiers hesitated. Not glowing, not monstrous, but steady, alive, and unafraid. And when he spoke, his voice carried through every channel, telling a story older than empires, of abandonment, of survival, of how humanity endured not because it conquered, but because it bonded, because it refused to let suffering erase empathy. He told them that humans were dangerous only to those who built their worlds on distance, and that the age of hunting was ending, not in fire, but in truth. And as doubt spread through fleets and worlds, the Dominion fractured under the weight of its own lies. Cerise lived, scarred and changed, no longer isolated, and Kale stood beside her, no longer weak, no longer forgotten, knowing that even in a universe shaped by fear, hope could begin with a single broken man, a single brave alien woman, and the courage to reach out and touch when the world demanded silence.